Jai Hind and welcome all again to this another session third of paper code KMBN 205, that is operations management. So today we're going to cover some portion of material management that is related to the scope, objectives, functions. Then we'll talk more on types of production planning, process of PPC, that is production planning and control. That includes routing, scheduling, loading, dispatching, and all such things. So let me start with the first part, that is material management, as it is essential business function. Material management is a core function of supply chain management that involves planning and execution of supply chain to meet the material requirement for any company or for any organization. And these requirements include controlling and regulating the flow of material while simultaneously assessing the variables like demand, price, availability, quality, and delivery schedules. So, material management managers actually determine the amount of material required that they need to held in stock, plan for the replenishment of these stocks, create inventory levels for each type of items, raw material like raw material, work in progress, or finished goods. So, material is one of the four basic resources like your labor, material, equipment, capital of any industrial or business activity. And for a long time, it was regarded as a routine function with less importance. But over the years, with accelerating economic, technological, societal, and environmental changes, this function has become more important, more complex, and now more professional. So, there is a very need to understand this very part of your industrial management, that is material management. And material management system actually embraces all the activities related to materials and are a basic business function actually that adds value to a finished good, which was not given that importance in the last few decades. So it also includes the procurement of machinery, other equipments needed for production processes, as well as the spare parts. So the objective of material management is actually the 5 R's of material management. That is, I would say, the right material at the right time, in the right amount, and at the right price from the right sources. Right. So let's talk a little more about the meaning scope of material management. Like it is a complex and it confront various issues like sourcing the materials, sometimes the global sources sourcing that organization need to do, then decide on the size of supply base. Then the very objective of a supply chain management or a material management is to shorten the lead time and then smaller the lot time, then determination of the price, then mode or a carrier selection through which material need to be transformed from one place to another, then maintaining long-term relationship with the supplier, choosing the right type of information technology, and all the legal issues and the documentation part that is required during this entire process, right? So material management is a specialized area of management which actually concerned with the management of material resources. What we are attempting to do in managing materials is it's to reduce and control the cost that is related to the resources, and which normally accounts for about 50% on average of the cost of production, right? So if once an organization is able to reduce this cost, the overall cost of production will goes on reducing. So the material management is a total concept involving an organizational structure unifying into a single responsibility, the systematic flow and control of material from identification of the need through customer delivery process. So it includes the concept of the material functions of planning, scheduling, buying, storing, moving, and distributing the material. And these are logically represented by the discipline of production and inventory control, purchasing, and the physical distribution. So there is one thing to note very carefully, that material management creates a competitive edge by delivering quality product or service on time and offering a lower cost by cutting its own cost as well as cutting the purchase items cost, which actually accounts for over 50% of the sales revenue, and by adding superior value to the entire supply chain management. So material planning is actually a scientific technique. It is basically for determining in advance the requirement of raw material, ancillary parts, components. There are many factors which needs to be taken care by, right? So moving further, like we have the basic function of the firm related to material management. That material management is one of the following six functions that an organization actually performed. Number one, that is design, means convert the concept into specification. Then the finance, that it acquires and controls the capital. Then the management of personnel, which includes hiring the human resource, training the human resource. Material involves the planning, acquisition, logistic of materials, service, and equipments. Production is related to conversion of material into goods and services, whereas marketing is more about distribution of goods and services to the buyers. So the content, supervision, and importance of material management differ from one industry to another industry. But this is one of the important, area of concern for the decision makers. So let's discuss a little more about the objective or what material management is aimed towards. It is to ensure continuous uninterrupted production or operation or a project work by maintaining a steady flow of material. So here you can see on a slide that I have highlighted few words, just to make you remember and more understandable that how this actually related to the aims and objective of material management. So it is to effect economies of the cost of material by purchasing the material of the right quality in the right quantity at the right time from the right source at the right price. So these few R's are very much related to material management. Then to effect economies in the cost incurred on material after they have been purchased. And this can be very much done through storage, processing, warehousing. And this all is under material management till the finished goods ultimately reach the customer. And these economies contribute towards cost, thereby leading to high profits for an organization. Then another very related objective is to reduce the working capital requirement, and this can be done through proper and scientific inventory control methods, and we're going to have in the next sessions. To be alive to the changes in the market and in respect to new products, and consequently to improve the quality of manufactured goods, then to increase the competitiveness of manufactured goods, then to save foreign exchange through import substitution and economizing on foreign purchases. Material management is also aimed to ensure cooperation among all the departments of the enterprise to meet materials management objectives both at the corporate and functional level to ensure proper coordination, then to conserve material resources within enterprises, thereby contributing to conversion of natural resources. So, more or less, material management is one of the very important function. Let's come to the role and function that material management is performing. Number one, that is a material planning. So, sales forecasting, arrangement of facilities is the concern of material management. Budgeting, that is influenced by the strategies or the policy makers strategies or the policies made by the management. Then production control, it involves preparing schedule, placing the orders, dispatching the material purchasing includes the procurement, selecting the suppliers, ensure the delivery. Inventory control of material talks about EOQ, maintaining the stock records, material stocking. That talks about accepting, storage, and verification. Then material distribution talks about receiving the finished goods, packaging, labeling, and shipment. Material handling is another area of concern that includes equipment, trucking, and containers. Traffic includes inflow and outflow of the material. So this is how material management actually functions. When moving towards the advantages of material management, it's having many benefits like it reduce the overall cost of material, better handling of material, reduction in duplicated orders. Materials will be on site when needed and in the quantities required. It also improved in the labor productivity. It improved in project schedule. The quality control can be done. Better field material control can be done. Better relationship with the suppliers. It also helps in reducing the storage of material on site. stock reduction, purchase saving, and better cash flow. So the entire goal of material management is to save the overall cost as well as to increase the productivity. So now coming to the next part of this important topic, that is material management, we talk more about production planning and control. So production planning and control, as the name suggests, it talks more about creating a plan for future production within a manufacturing organization, and it involves scheduling, estimating, and forecasting the future demands for the product. This takes into account the customer orders, production capacities and capabilities, forecasting for future trends and inventory levels. So this actually is a technique which is very essential for modern day manufacturing operations, as it establishes the groundwork for how production should be running and identifying the areas where productivity is lacking. So this is a tool that is available to the organization to achieve the stated objectives. Thus, a production system is encompassed by four factors, mainly four factors. One was the quantity, quality, the cost, and time. And we know that production planning start with the planning part, like analysis of the given data, like demand for the products, delivery schedules, and on the basis of the information available, a scheme of utilization of a firm resources like machines, materials, men are worked out to obtain the target, and this is in most economical way. So once the plan is prepared, then execution of plan is performed in line with the details given in the plan. Then comes the production control. This control comes into action. If there is any deviation between the actual and a planned one, then the corrective action is taken so as to achieve the targets set as per the plan by using such techniques. So there are five main types of production planning: job method, flow, process, and mass production methods, and each one is based on different principles and assumptions, and we'll talk in little more detail about all these types of production planning, right? Before that, let me take you to the in more detail of production planning, these stages and steps and how it actually works. So production planning is a managerial function which is mainly concerned with these following important issues, like what production facilities are required, how these production facilities should be laid down in a space available for production, and how they should be used to produce the desired products at the desired rate of production. So broadly speaking, production planning is concerned with two main aspects. Number one is routing or planning the task work, and second part is the layout of spatial relationship between the resources, right? So without production planning, manufacturing facilities are unavailable to schedule their production process efficiently, which actually limits the entire production output. So when mistakes are made during the planning process, the result is an inaccurate schedule, leading to late orders, internal, checkoffs, unhappy customers, and actually the lost business. So PPC actually revolves around four major factors. I just mentioned that it's quality, quantity, time, and cost that need to be taken care by production planning and control. And there are three major stages of PPC. One is the planning part, where the decision maker used to choose between the alternatives. Then the operation part, that is performance with the details set out. Then the control part. Right. So these actually this planning phase is also the planning, the action, and the control phase. This is how we call these phases as. So production control is a mechanism to monitor the execution. This PPC is having a two part. One is planning part, other one is a controlling part. So it also has several functions, like making sure that production operations are started at a planned place or a planned time or not, observing the progress of the operations and recording it properly, then analyzing the recorded data with the plans and measuring the deviations, taking the immediate corrective actions to minimize the negative impact if there are any, then feeding the back the recorded information to the planning section in order to improve the future plans. So let's talk a little more about why should you do production planning. So handling a few production orders in a spreadsheet works, but if it's a large manufacturing unit, the complexity increases a lot. And production planning helps to plan the procurement of raw material based on the quantity of finished good to be manufactured. Right? So it also affects the inventory, your cash flow, your sales, and even your distribution. So let's talk about why one need to go with the PPC, like what are the benefits of production planning and control. Number one is optimizes the manufacturing capacity. It means actually ensures machines and employees work, right? It also keeps cost down. It increases the efficiency as well, and it also provides greater profitability. PPC also helps in identifying the areas of improvements and then it ultimately plan for growth. Secondly, it reduces the inventory cost. It means it allows manufacturers to only hold the necessary inventory. They are software which can actually predict the demand and have a just-in-time scheduling strategy. Right. So if you do not have a surplus of inventory, you're not able to, like you're not incurring the cost in that. You're keeping the cost low. Then on-time deliveries, it helps to ensure production optimization and prompt deliveries as well. So getting products to its destination on time, this ultimately improves the customer satisfaction and that increases customer retention and referrals as well. Then better procurement of materials. It means it shows when materials should get purchased for production. And having this information helps the decision makers to know when to order and what is needed to meet the customer production demand. It helps to save money and improve the relationship with the suppliers. Then it streamline the production process as it ensures that materials and internal resources for production are ready when needed and what capacity is available and when it is. So this keeps production running very smoothly, and it also helps employee satisfaction as it eliminates the frustration from interruption in a production and workflow. Then last but not the least, that is minimal resource waste. So production planning and control helps in eliminating the material shortages as well as the surpluses for less resource waste. This lessen employee time wasted, right? And capital is not tied up in the inventory that is not used. There is a less production waste because delays that cause discarded material get eliminated. So this is how PPC is performing a very important role like it ensures the resources for production which are ready and when needed, right? So production function encompasses the activities of procurement, allocation, and the utilization of resources as well. And the major objective of production function is to produce the goods and services demanded by the customer in the most efficient and that customer concern is in a cost effective one. So therefore, efficient management of the production function is of utmost importance in order to achieve this very objective, right? Now coming to how do production planning works. So these are the few points like forecasting the demand by controlling the inventory. We have certain techniques of inventory control that we'll be discussing in the next session. Then plan for everything and everyone. Then to monitor and then the adaptation. So these are the major steps I would say. Like first is a routing, then scheduling, dispatching and following up. This is a planning part. So the first step relates to the production planning. Second step relates to the production, scheduling. Then the third step is more related to the control and follow up is also related to the controlling part, right? So this is how it look like, what function PPC is performing. So this entire, this function is like in different phases. So pre-planning phase, planning phase and a controlling. So let me tell you a little more that what is pre-planning. This pre-planning is a macro level planning that deals with analysis of data and is an outline of the planning policy based upon the forecasted demand, the market analysis done by the marketing department and the product design and development. So this stage is mainly concerned with process design, new processes and developments. They could be equipment policy, they can be replacement of the old with the new one, and how the workflow within a plant layout works like. So the pre-planning function of PPC is concerned with decision making with respect to methods, machines and workflow with respect to availability, scope and capacities. Right. Then coming to the planning part, the second part, right? The second one. So this planning function starts once a task to be accomplished is specified, that we already have done in a planning phase. So with the analysis of these four M's, machine, method, material and manpower, right? This phase is followed by process planning, that is routing part. Both the short term, that is for a near future, and a long term planning, right? Like standardization, specification of the product and processes. Then coming the controlling part, this control phase is affected by dispatching, inspection or inspecting, then expediting and evaluation of entire material. So analysis can be done. Then finally evaluation makes the PPC cycle complete. And if the last point that come like a corrective action that are taken through a feedback from analysis and a good communication and a feedback system within an organization is very much essential to enhance and ensure the effectiveness of PPC. So now these are the three levels at which your PPC or the planning for your material management need to be done. One is at a strategic planning, which is a long range planning, and it is a process of thinking through the organization current mission and vision, right? Keeping the environment scanned and setting a guide for future decisions and results. And it is done by the top management. Like for example, technology forecasting and choice of appropriate technology. These are the long-term decisions. So this very thing includes strategic planning part. Then coming the tactical planning part, that is intermediate range or intermediate planning. It is done over an intermediate term or a medium range time horizon for middle level management. Then come with the operational planning, which is short range planning. It is done over a short range time span and is developed by a low level management. It is concerned with utilization of existing facilities rather than creation of a new facility, because creation of new facility is a concern of the long range planning. So here you can see this is a PPC process. This entire process is divided into two. One is a production planning and control. So we'll understand this in a planning as a planning part, and the other one is in a control plan part. So we know that planning is one of the primary function of management. So this determine what will happen, what will be produced by whom and how. And it formulates the plan for like your labor, equipments, work centers, your material requirement needed for production, like that. Then come the routing part. Routing here determines the path of raw material flow within a factory using the right sequence of material flow and transform into finished goods. So this is like routing manages the how, what, how much and where of the production process. It systematizes the process and optimize the resources for the best result. Then third one is scheduling. Scheduling emphasizes like when the operation will be completed. So it aims to make the most of the time given for the completion of the operation, right? Like the determination of time, what should be required to perform, what time is required to perform the entire series of routed operations. Then coming the loading part, it is the concern of a planning. So this loading looks into the amount of work loaded against a machine and a worker. So the total time to perform new work is added to the work already scheduled for the machine or the workstation. Like if a machine or workstation has a capacity available, more orders can make up the underload, right? If there is a capacity overload, then proactive measures can prevent the bottlenecks. So adding a shift, requesting overtime, bringing in operators from another shop, or using a subcontract, these are the possible options in your loading part. Now coming to the production control part, and which talks about dispatching. Dispatching is the release of orders and their instruction. It follows the routing and scheduling directions. So there are certain steps. Actually the step ensures all the items in place for the employees to do their jobs. like issue material for fixtures, issue orders or drawings for initiating the work, maintaining the record from start to finish, then start the control procedure as and when required. Right? Then coming to the following up part. So this following up part is also sometimes called to be as an expediting. So follow up locates fault, like there could be some defects, bottlenecks, or loopholes in the production process. And in this step, the team measures the actual performance from start until the end and then compares it with the expected performance. So the areas which have problems that must be addressed in this step, follow up gets the root of the issue and also help in resolving the issue as well. Then coming the inspection part, it is the quality control aspect of production planning and control, and it ensures the goods produced are of right quality or not. The inspector may inspect the material, the semi-finished products, either at the work or in a special laboratories or testing rooms as per the requirement of the product. Last is the corrective action. So corrective action may involve like adjusting the routes or rescheduling of work or repairs and maintenance of machines and equipments or control over inventories of the cause of deviation is a if there is a cause of poor performance, then personal decisions like giving training to the people, transfer of the people, or demotions like that. So this is how PPC actually works like, right? So this is all about the session. So we'll have next session on supply chain management. We'll be discussing more into this important aspect of a business. That's what this session. Thank you very much.